Welcome to the Wedding Workflow Podcast, the show for wedding professionals, engaged couples, or anyone involved in the wedding world. We'll be talking about everything from picking a venue, what to look for in a photographer, how to work with your DJ to get people on the dance floor, and how to handle all the craziness of planning a wedding. We hope you get something valuable from our show and our guests, and invite you to join us every Wednesday here at the Wedding Workflow Podcast. All right.
What's up, everybody? All right. So today we have a really special guest with us, Amy Beth, the owner of the Hidden Abbey and Happy Occasions. So we are super excited and blessed to have her a part of the podcast today. And she does a little bit of everything. So we got so much to go into and so much to share and can help with so many different variety of things. She is a venue owner, and that's what the Hidden Abbey is. And then Happy Occasions is for invitations and also wedding coordination. So there's a lot going on. So one-stop shop.
Jack of all trades.
Yep, that's how I think we all are.
Oh yeah, we really do. We try to be.
So many things. Wear a lot of hats.
Absolutely. So yeah. I mean, if you just want to, tell us, I guess what did you start out doing that kind of went into the wedding industry, and how did you end up to where you are now, which is just recently owning your own venue, which is huge.
So it just kind of started out. I was always the one that helped with the friends' weddings. Yeah. Because I'm the creative one, I'm crafty, and I realized that I'm pretty good at that. And then I went back to school to become the therapist, and I worked at Staples, and I worked in the copy center, and I started being the invitation girl.
Nice.
Anytime anybody would come in and want invitations done, they would tell them when I was working and then send them in, and I would do the invitations.
That's cool.
So I thought, once I get out of school and once I started getting into my career, I should do invitations on the side just to make some extra money. And then it's just gone crazy.
That's awesome.
I've been doing that for about 8 years.
Wow. That's a really long time.
Yeah.
That's great.
8 years, and then added coordination about 3 years ago, and then added a venue this year.
Wow, that is so awesome.
Yeah. Carson knows how hard invitations can be.
Oh, yeah, I tried. My wife, she was like, we're going to do invitations, and then, we started buying kits up at Michael's, and it was just a whole ordeal, and it was just a train wreck.
That actually costs more money to make that way.
Oh, I found, it only took me about 1 hour, and I was like, there's no money to be made doing it this way. They're on to something, it ain't this. So.
Yeah. I always kind of cringe with the girls who are like, I need to get, just go to Michael's and get that. I'm like, if you knew how much money you're
expensive.
spending, doing it that way.
And they try to trick you with that old 50% off. It ain't no 50. It just, it
do.
It doesn't
because if
matter.
you're doing color invitations, you're doing 5x7 invitations.
Oh, yeah.
And they're running through and they're counting as each one. But if you can put more than one on one page,
that's
where it's at.
Gosh, yeah, that's for sure.
Where it's at. Yeah.
That's for sure. And and then because you do the whole thing, right? So you design, print.
Yeah.
I
do some hand cutting as well. I have gotten very good with a guillotine.
Oh, I bet. That thing always looks like a lot of fun when you get it down. Yeah.
We were gonna buy me a stack cutter this year, but we bought something way bigger.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So how is the so now the venue? When did you start owning this venue? When did you purchase it?
So we signed papers in April, but then we didn't get possession of it until May 7th.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
I've only been in there for 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this is very new.
Very new.
And for everyone that doesn't know, this used to be prior to the cross-side moves.
Yes.
So that's what it was formerly known as.
Yeah.
And now it is the Hidden Abbey. So which is a wonderful name. Where does the name come from, by the way?
Okay, so it used to be a church.
Okay.
It was Mount Carmel Brethren Methodist Church. This was a really long name.
Yeah.
And then when it went out of business, the church left, they purchased it, the Cross-Eyed Moose. And it's really hard to, you guys have been there, but it's a little off the beaten path.
Yeah.
And they always advertised it as a hidden gem.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, how do I play off that? And because it was a church, I kind of want to take it back to its roots.
Yeah.
And an abbey isn't another name for church, Westminster Abbey and all that stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So because it's hidden, I just call it the Hidden Abbey.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That is
a play off
that's perfect.
Yeah, I'm all about tying in things.
Wow, that is so unique. Yeah,
Yeah.
not many people would probably know that. Then
and that's what people kind of ask me, what why? And I'm like, because Abbey means church. Like, it's another name for church.
Oh,
that's really
so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I guess we can just kind of touch base on actually a little bit of each thing that you do, because I feel like you have so much to offer, advice for couples for each thing.
Yeah.
So, we'll just start off with like the invitations, I guess. So, I guess, is there anything that you feel like, that's important to put on those invitations, or something that you feel like maybe brides could miss on the invitations that are important? Or?
Yeah. Well, I would say the biggest thing is letting people know, like, even when you're having a wedding in like the same location, to add like even an insert like, hey, this is when cocktail hour starts, or hey, this is when reception starts, because some people don't always come to the wedding. Yeah. So to give those people like a heads up, because there's some weddings that start at 1, but then it doesn't go till 6. Yeah. Even at the same place. Yeah, yeah. So things like that.
I know one that always has stuck out to me, because I DJ'd a wedding one time that was supposed to start, I believe, at like, we'll say 4, all right, and then no one showed up at 4. Oh, no. But somebody said it was because we found out later the wording on the invitation was weird, and I think it has a lot to maybe something with the music started or like not, and
So you need to either say pretty much the etiquette for invitations is say to music to begin at, and it's always like at 3 or whatever, because you guys typically do half hour of music. Or put ceremony to start at. Yeah. Don't just put, the date and then just a time. Yeah. Because then a lot of people don't know when they need to show up. And the etiquette is you always should get married on the upswing. Yeah. So you should get married at like 3:30 or 4:30. So if you put 4:30, people are not sure if that's like when music's supposed to start or if that's when the ceremony is, because they don't want to walk in when you're walking down the aisle. Yeah. Like, that's a huge thing.
Oh, it was very weird. Yeah. It was like everyone was waiting. There was like maybe half the people that were supposed to be there and half that weren't. And it was just like, what's going on?
That's a big one.
Yeah. And that threw off their whole day because of that one.
And I'll have some brides say, like, well, I'm like, do you want somebody to come in when you're trying to walk down the aisle? Don't you want your people there?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's always awkward.
Yeah. Either like put ceremony or put music to begin at. Like, one or the two, because you would throw people
and include
off.
The cocktail hour time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That way they know if they're running late.
True.
Yeah. They can just like hang back until that time. Yeah. And then sneak into the cocktail hour.
You're right.
Pretend they were there.
You're right. You're right.
I'm from a rural community, so like we have a lot of friends that are farmers. So it's always nice to know, like, sometimes they can't make those earlier times because of all that stuff. So it's like we always make sure that, like, my family. We, like, have the.
Wow, I never would have thought of that with farmers. Like, you're right. That's a whole nother thing.
Farmers and things like that. So that's a big thing for us. Like, because especially summer weddings.
Yeah.
That's when things need to be done.
Yeah, I never would even thought about that. Yeah.
You don't think about it, but it's just nice to give as much and little as information as you need to on the invitations. But
absolutely.
Yeah. You don't want to put a billion things on
there. For sure.
Because I've had some brides want to put a lot of stuff on there, and I'm like, make a website.
Right.
And what's the rule of thumb with save the dates and then the invitation? Like, what's a good time frame?
When should they send those out?
Okay, that's another thing that I have to sometimes go back and forth with a bride, because God love them all. Like, they are very excited about the wedding.
Oh, yeah.
So really, you're okay if you save the dates from like a year to 6 months out from your wedding. You want to do like a year if like you're doing a destination wedding.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like 6 months is pretty good when you have you're doing it local. And then to send the actual invitations out, 6 to 8 weeks, especially like if you save the dates. I pretty much let my girls send them all out at 8 weeks. Yeah. It gives them enough time to like people, because you don't want to send them out too early. Because I've had a few girls that have told me that they've I have somebody that I know that sent out their invitations before May, and their wedding is in October.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't want to do that, because I've had a few friends even tell me they've received invitations that early and they forget about them.
So you think it's just like too far out for people to know if they can even do it or not?
Right, because you save the dates, and you save the dates out, and then you send your invitations, and sometimes people don't really know if they can make it or not until closer to the wedding anyways. Yeah. And so making sure that your RSVPs aren't coming back way early either. Yeah. That's like the rule of thumb for that is like 2 weeks at the minimum, and then maybe 4 weeks, depending on like what your caterer and stuff wants. That's like the big thing. Always ask your caterer.
Yeah.
Like when they need a food count or things, or the venue. Some venues will want to know a head count.
So usually RSVPs, so a month prior is when you want those back.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
I would say 3 weeks is kind of like a sweet spot because you're always going to have stragglers.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just, inevitable.
What do you think? And what do you think is the best way for people to handle RSVPs? Like, should they have people text them or do it online or mail?
I encourage postcards.
Okay.
I make all my RSVPs postcards. That way you save on postage.
Okay.
You don't have to buy the small envelopes.
Yeah.
So you don't have to use regular stamps. You can use postcard stamps, which are cheaper.
Okay.
And I will tell you that from personal experience, when I made my own, people loved that because they just wrote on it. Like my aunt has a P.O. box, and she opened up my invitation because she knew it was what it was, pulled out my RSVP, filled it out, and put it right back in the mail right away.
Yeah, that's awesome. That makes a lot of sense, doing it all in like one piece.
Right, and then you don't have to worry about finding the envelope and things like that, and it's easy too. And I also tell my girls to like number your guests and then put that on the RSVP.
That's a good idea.
So number them, okay.
Yeah, because sometimes...
So like you'll put a number on the actual RSVP?
Like you can do like an invisible ink. You can
put it on
the back. Yeah, it's very...
Wow, you got, wow, we got a lot of creative ideas going on,
I actually had like some floral on mine, and I kind of like hid it.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But that way, if you get somebody who can't read their handwriting, or some people don't realize that they need to put their name on it. Like
that's really smart. Yeah. You're right.
And then my cousin got me. Someone wrote me. And he's like, "Who?"
You're like, who's me?
Wow, who's me?
So thankfully, they had the number on there, so they knew who it was.
That's funny.
And that's another thing is like I know a girl that she did her own invitations and didn't put the line to put the name, and she was getting a ton of RSVPs back, but had no clue who they were.
Oh no!
And then she didn't number them either, and it was kind of like she was on Facebook trying to find that, and it's like,
yeah, you don't want to have to go like it's like a. I don't know, like a scavenger hunt.
For real,
Yeah, she was on there, like, sending pictures. Like, she actually put pictures and, like, is this your RSVP?
Yeah.
And it was, like, going to everybody.
How many people do you think respond yes versus no? Like, do you have any, like, opinions on that?
Supposedly, it should be, like, you should plan, like, 75% of your, like, invite list saying yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, does it seem like that checks out, you think, pretty close?
Yeah, I think it'd probably be.
I feel like that checked out pretty close to me. I think definitely within, reasonably around that amount. What about you, Adam?
I think because we invited, I think like 325. We got close to 300, so it was pretty.
Oh, so a decent amount. So you had maybe more the scary one where you're like expecting less people and like, oh crap.
More people than we thought. Luckily, we were at a pretty big venue, so they could hold.
What time of the year did you get married?
It was June 23rd.
Mine's June 15th.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
So we kind of hit like some vacations.
Oh, okay.
So like, there was people that we knew would come, but then they were either traveling back from vacation or traveling to vacation.
Yeah.
So we were about the same.
Oh, okay.
A little over 300, but then probably like 275 or more came.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Mine was like in the heart of COVID, like 2020. So
Yeah.
It was a little different because like, yeah, we like the people we were inviting were just like the closest. So
Yeah.
I think most people, but yeah, I don't know. There were still people that didn't, I think for vacation reasonings and
that's
as well.
kind of
So
the rule of thumb too. Like when you have a venue, like trying to figure out like, okay, this is the capacity. You can always like invite more than that capacity because not everybody's going to come. But if you know your people are going to come, then you need to stick closer to that number. But if you're like, no, like I had some great uncles that I knew I had to invite that weren't going to come.
Right. Yeah.
So like, you know, you can go past that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, just through all those questions, I mean, I feel like this is already going to answer because the amount of value I feel like that you just provided of just like knowing what to put on these invitations and all that. Because it was gonna lead into my next question of like, I'm sure what a lot of people probably ask, like, what makes you stand out versus them doing it online. So
I actually did like an actual video. It's actually on my Facebook.
Sweet. Okay.
That I compared myself to like Vistaprint and Zazzle and maybe Shutterfly. I don't remember all of them because it was like a year or so ago. I actually compete with them. And I still make, I mean, it's funny to be like, you don't make any money. I still make money. Like, I wouldn't do it if I don't make anything, you know? But I just know the ins and outs because of working at, like, a print shop and stuff like that. So, like, I know how to figure out, like, what's the best bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Plus, like, I don't have shipping. So that's another thing.
True.
Like, when I see, when I get those, like, wedding Facebook pages and stuff, they're like, oh, just use a coupon and stuff like that. I actually still compete.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
even with the coupon.
That's awesome.
And you're working with a person.
Yeah.
And you don't have to pick, like, a template. Like, a lot of times,
that's huge.
Girls will come to me and say, like, I like the wording on this one. I like what this one looks like.
Yeah.
Can you combine them? And I combined, like, a bunch of different things all over, you know?
That's
like,
so cool,
And you can order 32. You can order like 100. Like, I can do those weird quantities.
Yeah. A lot of them, they do like in increments.
Yeah, you have to do like, so like you're inviting 130 people, but like on some of those you have to either do 100 and 150.
Yeah. Definitely
so
on Vistaprint, I feel like you definitely have to do it increments of at least 50.
And they, for like inserts and stuff like that, they only have like one size. So like your reception insert's the same size as like what your RSVP is. Mine are all staggered. Like, it's really nice.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And I know that we talked because you said about you can put like pockets and different things on it.
Yeah, I have pockets and
I mean,
things
that's
like that. And
big all in itself. That makes your stand out.
Yeah, and my girls love that. Like, my smallest insert tip, well, I can do a smaller one than the RSVP, but my smallest RSVP, like the smallest size that you can do is like 3.5 by 5.
Okay.
By postage standards.
Yeah.
Like, for it to be able to go through the mail. So, like, I do that, and then I stagger them, and it's kind of nice because when you open that pocket or you turn the pocket over, they're staggered. So it says, like, RSVP, and it says, like, reception or accommodations, and, like, you can see that. And
that's really nice.
And you don't get that.
That's like a whole experience.
It is, and you don't get to see that, and then, like, I do, I make sure that printing on the envelopes matches the fonts on everything carries through, and then plus, I also do, like, the day of stationery, so, like, your programs and things like that, so I can make everything match. Yeah. And that's what a lot of girls have said, too, that, you know, you get on Vistaprint and Shutterfly, and, like, you like this invitation, and, you can get a few things that look like that, but then, like, okay, I want a seating chart, and I've not found anything that matches.
Yeah.
Like, so I can carry that theme all the way through.
Those are huge things. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people probably go online because they just maybe think it's going to be cheaper, but the fact that you can stay competitive with all those pricing is huge. For sure. That's such a big thing people should know.
Like, my average price for about 100, like, if you do 100 invitations and you get 3 inserts, a pocket, the envelope printing, you're looking at, like, less than $300.
That's wonderful.
For all of that.
Yeah.
That's really really good. Yeah.
And I always order extra too sometimes because, like, girls will be like, oh, can I have like 2 more invitations? Yeah. Because I didn't realize I didn't invite, like, you know, my gradient. Like, so or like, hey, I had more people at work than I needed to invite. Yeah. So
that's really good. I mean, and they don't have to design it themselves and take the time to do that.
And I do everything for you and
because that's a tedious process to do it yourself.
And I did a wedding just July 23rd that I coordinated as well. That
cool.
I literally did a day of stationery thing the morning of the wedding and was able to get it printed and brought it. So, nice. I mean...
Yeah, you ain't getting that nowhere else.
Yeah, you're not going to get that with Vistaprint.
No.
And so, I mean, that's kind of pushing it. But again, that was somebody that I was coordinating as well. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, you don't want to plan for that, but you want.
Yeah.
It's good to have.
Ideal. Yeah.
I don't want to do that all the time.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that, like, I can turn something around really fast. For you. So, and I am local, so it's easy for people to come and whatnot.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Well, yeah. So then, so now going into like the wedding coordination side of things. So you've been doing that for 3 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah. So so I'm sure you got so much, so many things now that you've probably seen with that. So what kind of, what are all the different type of coordination that you do? Like, is it day of, or do you do like?
I just do day of.
Okay, just day of. Nice.
Yeah, I don't really want to plan anybody else's wedding.
Yeah.
Right now with me working a full-time job and now owning 2 businesses.
Yep.
And I don't want to look for people's vendors and things like that. Not that I don't help out on those things.
For sure.
You know, if a girl would reach out and say, hey, like, I'm having a hard time finding a DJ.
Yeah.
So then I can be like, well, I've worked with these people and just check them out, see if they're available, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, I just pretty much do, like, it's like the 1 to 3 month type deal.
Yeah, and this is going to tie in so nicely with our previous episode because we were in a great discussion about the differences between. Okay, so what I feel like I hear so much is that like, oh well, I don't, we didn't go with a wedding coordinator because our venue offers one.
Yes.
And we hear it all the time, and like every time I hear it, I'm like, no.
Right.
no.
It's really not.
Exactly.
You're like, what does that
So,
entail? Exactly.
Yeah, so we talk a lot about that because like that's very common. I feel like venues do it a lot to try to express more value, but it's not what it's not what they think.
Not at all.
And Carrie from Central did a really great job of also explaining the differences of like there's a venue coordinator because that's what she does is venue coordination and what a wedding coordinator does
and
what
Carrie
that
will
difference
totally
is.
tell you exactly what it is and that she's not gonna.
Yeah. It's completely different.
And she has people that are like come in and help with that. But that is a big thing, and that's one thing that I wanted to really stress, like. With owning the venue. So like on my actual website, it actually says like, you do get a venue coordinator, but then I also explain like farther down, like when you get a venue coordinator, like we're there to ensure like the temperature is right, make sure trash is taken out, like anything that you need with lights, like turning lights down. Yeah. But like, we're not there to like,
it's
yes.
Their day needs to stay on schedule through their
We're
own
making sure
thing.
that the venue is like
operational.
Yeah.
So like there's no hiccups in that sense. And that is frustrating. Like as a coordinator is like, oh, I have a venue coordinator.
Yeah.
No, they're not going to help you.
Sometimes I never even see them.
Yeah.
Like no, there's some
I've never I don't know.
Now, I will say I wish that like more places had actually people on site.
Yeah.
Because that is hard.
Making sure things are happening. Because not everybody knows like where the lights are. Like we go to turn the dance up. Like turn those lights down a little.
It's like scavenger hunt. You don't know. We don't know where it's at.
Yeah. Even when you're you've done a walkthrough with the bride and stuff, but they don't. You're looking more at like where are we going to set up things? Like where you want your ceremony, all that kind of stuff. You don't think to ask like, are we gonna have to clean up? Like those things are like where are these things?
Yes.
And then when it becomes the wedding day and no one's there, you're just I'm just walking around places like checking closets. Like, what's this light switch do?
Yeah.
Right.
Like
so in your wedding day of wedding coordination package, I guess like what does that look like? What does that include for the brides? So like what would they expect? Should they expect?
So I have a program called Dubsado. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
We use Honeybook. So
it's similar.
Yeah.
So I do like check-ins every like so many months and make sure that you're along, and I have a lot of different questionnaires for you to fill out. I have like a wedding planning checklist. Trying to think of it. I mean I have a lot of information. I sat down in January and went through every song.
Because even though it's called Day of Coordination, it's not Day of Court. There's a lot going on before the day.
Right. And that's why I say like 1 to 3 months, but I actually probably do more than that because a lot of times I get girls that will come for invitations and then say, hey, I want coordination. So they get me longer than that.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just easier to send them the info like prior so they're not stressed trying to do that with
and there's a lot of value in those things that you're sending. Like those sound like, maybe just like quick things like like questionnaire or checklist or whatever. Well, that checklist is like valuable.
Yeah, and it tells you exactly where you should be like 6 months out, 5 months out, like who you need to be contacting and things like that. And I sat down like in January and listened to like every song you could think of for weddings and made this huge list to kind of help like I know you guys probably have stuff like that, but like I send that out like this is for mother-daughter. I mean for father-daughter dances. This is for this, and I even try to add like the new songs that you saw like on TikTok and like the reels and try to
That's
find
really
the
cool.
names.
Yeah.
So I try to update that as I can, but little things like that I help with.
Yeah, I like that.
And so when like the day of like I'm pretty much there by your side.
Yeah.
I have me and an assistant.
Oh, great. So 2 people.
We have 2 people. So like typically I'm with one of the bride of the groom. I'm typically with the bride because I've been planning more alongside with her.
Yeah.
And she's with my assistants with the other ones, and
that's cool.
We have earpieces.
Oh yeah, so it's like
that's
that movie.
What's that?
The wedding planner.
The wedding planner. Yeah.
The very first the very first wedding that we did, that we actually had the headphones. Like it came with like the weird piece.
Oh yeah, the whole
like,
and I was
setup.
like, I look like J-Lo like, in the wedding planner. And they all thought it was the cutest thing ever. But I'm like, this is so embarrassing. But
cue the sparklers.
But I'm with them all day, and I have this massive day of coordination, like emergency kit.
That's cool.
It's two bags. My husband teases me when I walk out with it, like it looks like I'm going on vacation because it's on a rolling bag and everything.
Oh wow! That is really big. Then you got a lot of stuff.
So like the one bag is pretty much like tolls and different things, like in ribbon and things, anything that you need. Well, that's in the personal.
Oh, that's in the personal bag.
Yeah, okay.
I have a whole bag that just has personal stuff in it.
Wow.
Like anything you could think of, I have everything.
Yeah.
And actually, I have like this backpack is what I wear all day.
Oh,
and
cool.
it has like the quick things in there, like spray deodorant.
Oh, nice.
Eyelash glue, blotting, all sorts of stuff. And I end up a lot of times putting like the groom's like wallet and stuff.
Stashing everybody's phone so they don't lose it.
Yeah, I'm kind of like a pack mule. But like that's kind of like what you get. And
do you do the rehearsal as well?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah.
And then we don't really like tear down setup, but we do offer those, like if you would want us to like come in and tear down. But
and then you guys help like coordinate like ceremony, make sure. Yeah. That's
and I like, because you guys do like DJs a lot of hot times that you guys do like the timeline.
Yeah.
I generate a timeline, but then I'm always like, let me know like what your DJs.
I love that.
Yeah. Because it's like teamwork.
Yep.
Because if you're not the same.
That's something that we always touch base on, is how important that timeline is.
Yeah.
Because
and making sure everybody's has the same.
Yes.
Because you know, your DJ should be doing a timeline each time, but it's really important that timeline matches up with everyone else's timeline, because that's the key. Like everyone that needs to.
Like I do the timeline. Sorry,
oh, you're good.
I do the timeline before like you guys get there. So like I'm coordinating like when people are coming in for like hair and makeup. When and I actually like the program I use. Actually will generate a schedule for the for the bridesmaids and the bride.
I love wedding coordinator timelines. Those things are detailed, man.
So it's like
I thought we were detailed. It's like, that takes it one step further, man.
Yeah. So it's great because I'll just say like how many girls are getting their hair done, give me their names. Ask your hair people like how long is it going to take for bridesmaids, how long is it going to take for you, and it generates this timeline and like how many hair people are there and how many makeup people. So I do like that timeline for you guys. So like my stuff's like that, but then I want to make sure that like whatever they discussed with the DJ and the photographers, like what's that look like? Because I, and I adjusted it accordingly.
Absolutely. And I think that's so amazing. I feel like with wedding coordination, I love doing it, like when we do weddings with wedding coordinators. I think it's just so smooth. And you can just tell like it's a peace of mind. It's a peace of mind for everyone. It's a peace of mind for the bride and groom, I think vendor, everybody.
Yeah, because without a wedding coordinator, usually that falls on the DJ to like
it does.
Kind of make sure things are happening at the
And I feel like it's hard for you guys to like step away from like
it
your
is.
equipment
Yeah.
anyways. Like,
which is fine. If there's not a wedding coordinator, like we know, okay, like that's the role that we're gonna step into and do our best. But just like anything in life, when you have someone that's dedicated to that, it's different.
I run for you.
It's completely different.
I run.
It's always good.
And they're and like a wedding coordinator, you know what I'm saying? Like a DJ's not bringing, spray deodorant for the bride. Like that's I guess we could. We could start, but
I have started bringing many rechargeable fans for the summer.
Yes.
That is very nice. That's a good idea, Adam.
I do tend to see that they could like get misplaced a lot. So I'm then buying those a little bit more than I typically do.
Yeah.
No, I do.
Those are so essential, man.
It's funny to see what each wedding uses more of. Like one wedding, they were a bunch of dental hygienists, like in the wedding. So like they were pumped because I had the little flossers.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And it was barbecue, and I went through so many shot wipes. And then like another wedding turns around, and it's like we use deodorant the whole time, like it's just funny to see.
And such a cool thing that you're doing. I mean, like when we come up with the schedule, it's from the ceremony on, but you're planning that day from
like 8 a.m.
from the even the day before the rehearsal on.
Yeah.
And that's something that's really big. And it also, like, it's very nice to have a wedding coordinator at your rehearsal because not many people, unless you've been to like not everyone knows what to do.
Right. And it's nice too that like the bridal party gets to see a face to see who like to come to if you need anything. Because it is funny to watch, like, as the day goes on too, even at the wedding, that like guests start to catch on that like you're somebody that is kind of important. That like, oh, they can help me.
Yeah.
So
and that's really nice because for the most, like, unless there is that face, no one. Who do you go? You know what I'm saying? They're gonna go
unless
to
they
somebody,
go to like the person like that's hosting the wedding, like a parent or and you don't want them to do that.
No,
That's the whole point of me is
you don't
to
want
make
that to
sure
fall on their shoulders.
Right.
And
I get things moving along, and I am a very stickler to my timeline.
Yeah,
like I
that.
am very like, okay, we got to keep going.
I like that.
This is what we're doing.
Because it's not an easy task to keep a wedding on time.
Yeah.
It's not always an easy task.
No.
There's a lot of things that just are unforeseen. Just like everything's gonna have something that you didn't expect. But it's there's so many elements to a wedding that it doesn't.
Recently, I've had a few weddings be ahead of schedule, and it felt so weird.
That
I
is
was
weird.
like, we're ahead of schedule right now. This is kind of it doesn't happen often.
I agree with that. I just had one not very long ago, and I was like, wow, we're really like
we're
not
not
too bad on this.
Yeah. And there's just certain things that can throw that schedule off easily. I mean, anything from something, like transportation can throw it off. Catering, food not being
everything takes
everything
longer than you think it's gonna.
Yeah, and that's what I
build in that buffer time.
Yeah, and I have that's one of the handouts that I give to each girl. Like this is what you need to like account for. Like if you have this many people, like account like for 2 hours for dinner. Like even though it might not take that long, but like account for it.
Yeah,
we can always move things up and then move things back. Like you don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
So
what do you find to be like? And we probably have opinions on this too. Like what do you find to be the biggest like throughout the whole wedding day, like the biggest like time hold up situations?
I would probably say food.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was
exactly.
gonna say. And it's the one that I feel like people that maybe haven't had a wedding yet would not maybe guess because it just seems like, oh, well, the food's going to be there.
Gonna eat,
But oh my gosh, that is like the number one thing that I feel like can throw the whole thing off.
And there's so many factors, like how many people you have is one of them, but also how many people the caterers have, whether it's a single line, the double line.
Oh my gosh,
like
so many variables.
And like food truck, I just had one.
Food trucks.
I just had one last month that
those are tricky.
I kept saying like, hey, like I don't know how we're gonna do this. Maybe you need to see if there's another truck and stuff. And the brides and the bride's mom were very like good about like contacting, and they kept saying like, okay, yeah, we're gonna be able to, we can feed like 100 people in 20 minutes, and we're like, okay, like that works, that's fine.
That
and this is like
fast.
I know, because they said we would have everything prepped and everything like that. And this is like a 300 like person wedding.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm like, we gotta, and we planned it to like eat at your leisure, like because they wanted just to keep going, and if you wanted to go out, we would like, okay, so food is from like 6:30 to 8:30, and if they can feed that many people that fast, then we should be good.
Yeah.
And they kept saying, we're like, are you sure? Can you do this? They came with 3 people in the truck. One person was just taking orders, and the other 2 were prepping, and we went till like about 9:30.
Oh
Jeez.
man, yeah, because like people think that food trucks are gonna be fast, but like
no.
Yeah, unless they're like prepping a ton of food like beforehand.
And they're very cool.
And they keep it very
so
short.
Cool.
Like
it's different. It's unique. Just like a wood-fired oven pizza. Having a couple of that. Very, very cool. But they have to. They're making it while it's there.
While it's going,
fresh, and that is.
I know.
That
I'm a
can be
little. I
tricky.
have a wedding in November that's doing the pizza.
Love those places,
and I think
but-
it's going to be great. But it's another like it's a 200 like wedding, and it's like.
Yeah, it's an additional variable for sure.
You just have to make sure that you add enough.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing, I feel like a smaller wedding, like a food truck with 3 people, like 100-person wedding, that would have been fine. Like we would have been fine, and because we had to like just keep pushing through. There was people still in line, and we're like, we can't wait for these people to go through the line to do the first dances and stuff like that. Like we gotta go.
Yeah, I know. I try to always like you suggest to brides, like if it's like over 100 people, like 150 people, especially like that double line thing is really important.
It is huge.
Do a double line.
That can really speed up things.
And like I said, I just felt bad because I know that the bride and her mom like really did try to prep for that, and they were reassured, but so they were kind of disappointed in that, which I felt really bad.
There's 3 people trying to feed that many people.
It's a lot.
It was a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and not only can it throw it off in the beginning, but I've also learned that it can also throw it off when you're trying to get the dances started. Depending, so sometimes people put the food on the dance floor, and if. So like as a DJ, like we're waiting for them to move the food away, so that way we can start the the dances or the formalities.
Right.
And I've had quite a few situations where like, well, one time they disappeared, so that was that was interesting. Actually, that was with Carrie at Century Farms. They just disappeared. So, but sometimes like that's something that needs to be spot on also. And so I think that's something that's really good to like ask your catering company and be specific. Like, how many people do you bring?
If they're serving too, that's another one I feel like goes a lot faster. Like I know, like when you go to like Old Carolina or Mission Barbecue, they always have people like serving, and they do a pretty good job.
Yeah, they do.
And they'll do a double line and things like that. But like when people have family and stuff, like where it's, bring your own food and you're letting people. It takes longer because people are trying to hold stuff. And I feel like so that you got to plan accordingly.
Yeah,
you have to have servers.
And if something takes somebody like an extra minute to go through that line, you have to multiply that
by
all the guests, and that's why it can so quickly.
Right.
That's scary that we all have the same one.
I definitely think it's that. I don't really feel like transportation really put me behind it. I mean,
sometimes photo sessions can run a little long.
Sometimes.
Or they're like, especially if they have to take a golf cart somewhere.
Yeah.
I feel like anytime there's a golf cart involved.
Those ones can be tricky sometimes. Or if they have multiple destinations they're trying to go to. Yeah. Those can be tricky.
Yeah. But I feel like that's very few and far behind.
Not
Compared to like
too bad,
I feel like
though.
the food is kind of like where you need
that one's pretty consistent, I would say.
And not in a bad way, but it's just like you got to plan for that.
Yeah, I think it's just good questions to ask, and I think it's a good thing to really try to make sure you have that double line if you can, because it's pretty important and
get people through quicker.
Yeah, and I always I try to I know you guys sometimes dismiss tables, but I'll try to do that duty for you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the best part about the wedding coordination for us.
That's I feel like sometimes the worst too, because you get to those last few
tables. Dismissing tables is the worst.
And they're just staring at you
you are guaranteed to make somebody very angry.
Oh yeah,
you're guaranteed to piss some people off that day.
I always try to get if it's up to me how to disperse the tables. I always make sure the people closest to the food get to go. Because there's nothing worse than sitting so close to the food.
True.
And you're just sitting there waiting.
There's so many ways to look at it, the whole thing.
Yeah. I kind of go based off of, since a lot of times I do the invitations and stuff, so I know who's important. So
I would try to look at the table chart or the seating chart, and I would try to be like, okay, who has that last name? And then I would be like, okay, we must. Okay,
but then it's also kind of I feel like people. When you're farther away, depending on how it's set up, because sometimes I had friends that were in the 20s, but the way where their table was close to the dance floor. So you have to kind of look at the seating chart, see what numbers are there. So
sometimes it feels like a lose-lose situation. Dismissing tables.
You're gonna make anybody mad, but that's I think one of the worst things. People are staring at you. But no, I try to get people through as fast as I can. I pay attention to that line, and I pay attention to my watch, and I am constantly go.
See, that would be one part I thought would be fun, because I would just I'd be trying to get so good at timing it up. Okay, there's 4 people.
I am really analytic like that.
I'm trying to time up their walk.
How do you handle it when a table just decides I'm gonna get in line?
I just let it go.
Just let it.
I don't say anything. I just kind of look at them
that's bound to happen too.
I just think that's so. I'm a very not rude person. I always feel bad when I pick something up and I decide not to buy it. I will take it back because somebody else has to take that back. And when you work in it, I think everybody should work retail or something like that.
Oh yeah,
because,
for sure.
People just throw things and you're I gotta go find where that is.
Yeah.
So to me, I just kind of look at it. Really, you couldn't have waited.
That one's bound to that one's bound to happen.
Everybody else is waiting, but I just let it go. I just kind of let it over.
It was funny.
Yeah.
What you don't want to cause a ruckus.
No.
You're not allowed to go.
Right. What is there anything that you feel through your wedding coordination stuff that you feel is important for a bride to know, or say that they are going to it and their budget doesn't allow a wedding coordinator and they're having to figure out these things on their own? What are some things that you feel would be important?
I've definitely told a few girls that I know that they wanted to have coordination. It just wasn't in their budget. find somebody that can like stick to something, like make a timeline out, make sure that you have like, so I didn't actually have a coordinator, which is kind of funny, but like I'm very,
because you knew, you were already,
and I already had like, I had my timeline down. One of my like really good friends I went to high school with DJ'd for me. He's like been waiting for me to get married.
Nice.
And he was laughing because there was a girl that I did her invitations that he DJ'd her wedding at the same venue.
Oh, cool.
And I was telling her like my ideas, and she's like, "Oh, I really like that." So she did the same thing, and he was like, "That didn't go very well because she didn't have like a coordinator." And at the time, I wasn't coordinating.
Oh, okay.
But he was just like, "I can't wait to see this actually be executed because I know this will be like it'll happen." And I'm like, "It'll happen." So what I did was I had not just one person, I had a few people that were like in charge of things like that. I did a really cool thing where after the wedding, we left and got pictures, and we let our guests eat while we were gone. So that like cool. That kind of like cut back on the thing. So
I like that
we actually ate on the bus.
Oh, there you go.
Like,
wow, that's cool.
My husband calls it Disney magic that we came back and we're already fed.
Yeah.
But we let people just eat. So like my aunt and uncle were like in charge. It actually rained on our day, and it was between like two buildings, because it's outside.
Okay.
And they got people back and forth.
Oh, that's cool.
I had another friend like make sure the DJ like was, and then I had a cousin that when I walked down the aisle fluffed my dress.
Oh,
you know,
nice.
like
That's
all
good.
those things.
Those little things that you don't.
Yeah, like you don't think about like. Because I did it for hers.
Yeah.
We timed everything, and
that's cool. Yeah, we actually went that same route for ours, which I wonder actually is. I wonder if this is common for people in the wedding industry, because like they just know like probably to have different people in place.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had like people that that we had dedicated to serve the food.
Yes.
Or help at the ceremony, help at just every aspect. Really, there was somebody there that was going to help facilitate that.
Like it was a small army.
Like, we had key people. Yeah.
Like my DJ was laughing because my cousin was his football coach when he was in 9th grade, and before the wedding, we had we got married on the stage, but when we left, they put tables up on the stage for like where we would sit.
Yeah.
And he was laughing because the tables were up there, and my cousin was ironing like the tablecloths.
We were talking about that.
Oh yeah.
And he was like he takes a picture and he sends it to me, and he's like, "I'm not gonna lie, I never would think that I would ever see Martig like ironing tablecloths." And so like I had like male cousins that helped like put tables and chairs up there, and like my the rest of my family decorated it. Like,
and you do want a little small army, because especially if your venue allows it, the morning of that wedding, there's usually some things that might need to be put out. In our case, we needed like, now ours was a backyard wedding, so it was like we needed a few extra things, but stuff like bottles of water at the ceremony, stuff like that needed to be put out the day of. It was hot.
That's a big thing too.
It was a hot day.
I did a cousin's wedding, and my family, I don't know why they came. They like her invitations, because I did them, said music starts at this time. But they went. It was at Whetstone. And they have that nice little ceremony space back there, and there's really no shade back there.
Yeah.
They sat there for an hour in the sun, and then they came up to me and looked at me and were like, "Well, we should have had water." I'm like,
"Oh no,
we should have had water, but like you didn't have to sit out there for an hour before it started." So like those are little things too to think about. Like if you're having an outdoor wedding, make sure you have like water for guests and things like that. But
absolutely.
Learned.
Yeah, just think about it like in terms of like if you were showing up to your wedding, like
as a guest,
the things that like
I would even say walk through it. Yeah,
like
maybe
even
just walk
having
through it.
I've seen a lot of people they'll make fans out of their like
programs.
The programs,
That's really
which
cool.
are really
Yeah.
nice.
That's really cool.
I've done that a few times.
Yeah.
I save those sometimes because like sometimes at weddings I'm like
I say that those are like the best kind of like programs to have anyways. Like I'm not a huge advocate for programs, and like that's what's funny is I do invitations. I want people to buy more stuff off me, obviously, but I'm like programs are
because once the ceremony's over, they're everywhere. Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm not
if they're
sure.
a fan, they're gonna hold on to it.
I actually don't know if I did Does everyone do programs, or like some people not do programs?
No.
Okay, I was
so
like, I don't think I did.
What I did was just a poster, like, and we had it up for like the ceremony and the reception.
Yeah, that's what we did.
My mom was always like, "I like to know who's in the wedding."
True.
So like we had that just sitting next to like our guest book and stuff like that.
That's cool.
I say if you're gonna go like
make it practical.
Make it something that it's gonna be displayed the whole time.
Yeah.
Because I pick up so many programs.
Yeah. They're
And they all
they're on the seats, they're in the grass, they're flying in the wind.
I don't think there's a bunch of keepsakes as people think.
Yeah, and then half of them have to be picked up. And that's another thing I try to tell girls, like, don't buy so many programs. Like, think about when you go to I always take a program, but my husband doesn't. Yeah. And my husband always is grabbing mine. And, like, my dad's the same way with my mom. Like, so I'm like, think of, like, couples. So, like, don't get, like, you have 300 people, don't get 300 programs.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
Like, do half. And even do less than half.
Yeah.
Because they will be used for very little, like, and then they'll be thrown everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, so you would say try to have like people in place at different things. I like that.
Yeah, when you're doing it yourself, you definitely need to have like a small army and have like tasks for them to make sure that like it goes well.
Yeah. I like that.
I always say, like, if you don't have like a wedding coordinator, assign like your most responsible bridesmaid.
Yes. Yeah.
The one that's got the most authority in that group.
Yeah.
And like the groomsmen too.
Yeah.
There's always one. There's always one. There's got to be one.
One that's like able to
she's able to get people in line.
I even tell my girls that too, even when I coordinate. I'm like, I need to know who I can count on to be like help me get people in line.
Who's the one that's not going to be taking shots?
You're right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great. So, perfect. So, and then with the Hidden Abbey now. So, do you offer that wedding coordination?
I do.
While you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do it at a little less cost than like because it's I'm gonna be at
regardless.
I typically I try to be at all the events there and stuff like that. I did have July 23rd was a rough day for me. I had booked 2 day of coordinations because my assistant is starting to do really well.
Nice.
So I'm like, she can go on her own. Then I bought the venue and we had a wedding there. So
that's a busy
I had
day.
3 weddings in one day. So that was like
that's a lot.
Rough, yeah. No, I like I like to offer that service because it's nice to have somebody open the doors for you when you're walking down the aisle or and have your family be.
Yeah, if there's nobody there,
present.
I'm recruiting somebody. Like I'll find
you
somebody.
Have to. You literally have
your job
to.
now.
Yeah.
Right, because you want that grand entrance. Yeah. Like that's what I tell like girls all the time. Like you want that. Like you've planned this wedding. And
you can't open up the door.
Wedding
on
dresses
your own
are
wedding.
long.
You can't do it.
They get stuck indoors easily.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like, and you want like that reveal moment.
Yeah.
Because everybody's been anticipating
Absolutely.
seeing like what your dress is. Like it's not
totally
a big,
agree.
So I want to offer that for like my girls like there too. So and my groomsmen and grooms and all that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with your venue, like what made you fall in love with the place to buy? Like what was it that was it? The it factor for you.
I don't remember saying this, but my mom said like years ago that I always said that I wanted to have a venue, but I'm like it sounds like me because I like to like decorate and I like to host things.
Yeah,
so like it makes sense. But I don't know. I just thought that it would just be easier just to be able to coordinate and do things. And I do, like I said, I genuinely love to host things.
Yeah,
like, I love to have parties. And people think it's funny. They're like, oh, like, don't you hate being in the wedding industry because, like, all your weekends are gone? I love being at weddings. Like, I love every moment of it. Like, it does not bother me that I have a wedding. So I'm like,
I think the wedding industry is such a beautiful industry. It's amazing.
Fun.
Yeah.
You get to experience so many different, like, traditions and
even
other cultures sometimes. You know?
Everyone's happy. You know, if they're not, that's a problem. But everyone's happy
for the most part.
For the most part. So, and like, how many things can you go to where like everyone is happy?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, that's a pretty special thing.
And even with an event center, like, I mean, we don't just host just weddings. I mean,
True. Yeah.
Like this weekend we have a class reunion, like a 50th class reunion, and I last weekend I did a 70th anniversary party.
That's
that was awesome.
Yeah.
Last time I was there, doing the frat party.
Yeah.
That was cool.
So it's like, but all those events are very happy.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're really doing anything. Like, the only thing that would maybe not be so happy is like a celebration of life. But you're also, like, but I mean,
but it's still special though.
Special to make somebody's like last, like, like I'm all about that. I'm very giving and I go above and beyond for people. And I think that's like why I love it.
Yeah. And I would say that's like something like seriously, like I can go to bed happy each night, like just feeling like we were able to provide these memories for people that were so special that are going to last a lifetime.
Yeah. And it's such a pivotal day in everybody's life. Like when you get married, like that's like, one of those like core memories that you
really sure.
like in your life, you know. So I think it's one of like,
and people remember that, like, and people remember like everybody's weddings. Like,
Absolutely.
Oh, remember at your wedding? This like
and it'll go on forever.
Yeah.
It's such a huge moment.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just kind of figured, I'm good at it. I do really well with this coordination stuff. Why not like offer these services at my own place? Yeah. So it actually went really fast. Originally, I tried to buy, it was Tall Oaks at one point, and it's Heritage Oaks. It was in Sebring.
Yeah, I know where that is.
My parents actually, you can see like the venue from
that's cool.
from their house. Like, but then things happened and it all fell through, and then somebody else bought it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But and so that was in April of last year, and then we were kind of looking and doing different things, and a few other places popped up that we probably could have purchased, but I'm like, it just wasn't like the right fit. And I am local to where the Cross-Eyed Moose was. I actually grew up in that area.
You can't beat that.
And like my grandma lived right around the corner. My aunt and uncle live up the street from there.
Because that's a really well known venue. I mean, it's been around for a while, right?
Since like 2013, I think. Opened up.
Because it hosts a lot of different, a variety of things.
Yeah. So I just was at work one day and I was like on a break, and I was just kind of like, I always kind of perused like commercial stuff, and it popped up, and I was like, only had been on like the market for a few days, and I'm like, let's go for it. Yeah. So I call my husband. I'm like, hey, Cross-Eyed Moose is for sale. Let's go. Like, let's, because I'm like, I live 10 minutes from there. Yeah. And like I said, if anything happens, like my aunt and uncle are right down the road, and my cousins like
had
backup. And it's really funny because I didn't like ever know that was there.
Oh, really?
Actually, down the street growing up, like when it was a church, there was a place called the Pantry, and it would always be like, my grandma would be like, go run to the pantry and get some milk, or like, or we'd go down there and get deli sandwiches and stuff. Had no clue that church was ever there.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It was a hidden.
It was it.
It's so funny to see friends be like, where's that at? I'm like, it's in Homeworth, like it's downtown Homeworth, like. Really? Where? And I'm like, it's up the hill that you would never go up. And they're like, oh. And then when they get there, like, I had no clue this was here.
Yeah.
So
a lot of venues, I'm like, if it's like the first time I've gone there, I'm always like, I hope I am going in the right spot. But I remember the first time I went there, I was like,
for sure.
I was like, oh, it is kind of
it's funny because the street address is Main Street, and it's a very not like your average Main Street.
Yeah.
Like, it's the very like opposite of what you think a Main Street.
And it's a pretty big property in the like just that pops up, boom, it's there.
Just out of nowhere.
So. But it is one of my favorite places to like unload, because you can pull right up.
Yeah, that is
super
nice.
door, like it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're planning on actually like using those steps that are on the side there that you would typically load in. That'll eventually be like a actual like handicap ramp.
That's
I am an occupational therapist, so that is very important to me to make sure it's handicap accessible. There's some things that I'm like, ooh, that's not like ADA. That's not ADA regulations there.
We use the rocket. What are they? Rocket rollers.
Rock and roller carts.
Yeah, those are essential for DJing.
So it'll be way easier once we get that. We're hoping to put that in pretty soon.
I've always just loved I loved it, and so it's so great that you're owning it.
It was super unique.
Yeah, I love, it's so great that you have it. And do you want to talk a little bit like what you've done with the place since you've been there?
Like I said, when I tried to buy the other place, I knew there was going to be a lot more renovations. But when I bought this, it was like, I don't have to do a lot because it was already a very beautiful space. Like, I didn't have to do anything. Because it was the Cross-Eyed Moose, there was quite a few animal like mounts and stuff in there. There was 14.
Oh wow!
In the
a lot
sanctuary.
of eyes looking at you.
Yeah. So like obviously there was a moose up on the stage, and he was pretty cool. He was so big that he was actually rebarbed into the into the wall. Like, so when you come, you can see like a little screw, or like he was.
That must have been one heavy thing.
Yeah. And I'm kind of like sad because they took like, there was a squirrel, like there's two squirrels chasing each other on the corner of the mirror, and they're dressed as a bride and groom. I'm like, that's funny.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah, and I like the buffalo.
Where did they end up?
The guy that I bought it off of, it's kind of like a weird story. There was local people that bought it in 2013, and then they had a friend in Texas that partnered with them.
Oh, okay.
And they eventually went out. He stayed in. So I bought the venue off of somebody from Texas. And so everybody is like, what happened to the animals? I'm like, I only purchased the building. Like, he wanted all the animals and the Amish style tables. So he took those, unfortunately. Even if I really wanted them, he was still taking like a handful of tables. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm ever going to match those.
No, those are one of a kind.
They were one of a kind. They were all built the same time. And so like, I was like, I don't know how I'm ever going to match those. So he took everything. He came up from Texas, put everything in pods. We were a little sad to see like the one outside that you could sit on.
Oh,
my husband really wanted him.
Yeah, that was cool.
But he took that. I mean, he took everything. So we walked in and it was like a blank space. Yeah. So the only thing that we really did, because they did such an amazing job there with renovations, the bar and the rock on the walls and things like that. The only thing I did in the sanctuary was paint the walls a light gray.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now we still have the antler chandeliers. They're real, but we'll eventually take those down just because we're gonna do like more of a neutral. There'll be black candlelight.
Oh, that's cool.
Just kind of like. And the camo carpet will eventually leave too, because we're gonna redo the floors, but we don't want to take the carpet up just yet because they'll be mismatched because there's hardwood underneath there. But in the sanctuary, we have new tables and chairs, and we have painted the walls.
Yeah, and I highly encourage anyone to look up the pictures of this space. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful.
Yeah, and downstairs looks exactly the same too. All we did was change some sconces just to make it look a little brighter down there, because it can get a little dark because we have this really nice wall that has a two-way fireplace. And like the sun doesn't get to the one side because it faces the west. So with that wall blocking it. So we wanted to make sure it was still like nice and bright for when we have events down there. Yeah. And I think the biggest transformation is we changed, we kind of moved around the dressing rooms. So we turned the groom's dressing room into my office. And so we like completely drywalled that. Moved the grooms into the bride's dressing room.
Nice, yeah.
Kept that space the same way, but we just added more like masculine fixtures and stuff in there. Added a bar and a TV and a couch and a chair so they can just hang out and lounge. Then we changed the one room. It was the biggest room down there into like this like really nice dressing room.
That's awesome.
For the girls. Yeah. It was the biggest room. I was like, I don't know why we're not using that.
Why give it to the guys to
No, the guys were the guys' room, like my office is like 10 by 10. Yeah. And then I'm like, no one fits in here.
I've always, something else I always loved is how it has like the raised platform that the bridal party can sit on. Is that usually where they sit? The bridal party? Is that usually where they go? I think that is really, really cool. I just think it's cool like when they're like lifted up a little bit. I just think that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's where the pulpit was. So it was already built in.
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
The only thing that's missing up there, I actually have the original blueprints from the church. It's sweet. Very cool. Nice. It's like in a fire safe underneath the steps, and I have Bibles and things like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I would love to display. I think I'm gonna try to get some prints and put them in like the foyer and stuff like that. But yeah, I kind of know like what it looked like when it was a church. Like, so I know where the pews were, and there was like some pews up on that raised thing. So it's kind of cool like to see that. But
I just like it's like easier to see the bridal party and the bride and groom and stuff, and I think that's pretty neat. And cool for like if because a lot of times you have the ceremonies in there as well.
Yeah.
That's unique about that venue space as well, right?
Yeah, so like for this, you can have 200 people in there, but you have to use both spaces, the upper and the lower. But what's nice is what we're going to try to do is get TVs. We do have speakers that will like coordinate with each other.
Oh, that's
so like
nice.
You guys can like use those.
There's been sometimes there where I've had to throw like wires down.
Oh yeah, throw down. Yeah.
So we just got like a whole matrix system that you can connect the to like Bluetooth to the speakers downstairs so they can hear. And we're gonna put TVs down there. Eventually see how we haven't quite figured out how we're gonna like live stream it yet, like so people can downstairs can see what's going on upstairs, so like they don't feel like they're left out. But sometimes like the smaller weddings that we have, it's really kind of cool. They'll like use the upstairs, the sanctuary as like ceremony and stuff like that, and then they'll send people downstairs for cocktail hour, and then we flip the space.
Yeah, and that's I love that. Yeah, and you have a very nice downstairs space. I mean, full bar down there.
Full bar, it's in the
that's
fireplace.
Kitchen, right? Kitchen for the catering and all that.
And we just put in a full-size refrigerator and a full-size freezer.
Oh,
so
sweet.
It's huge. Like
That's awesome.
That was really nice.
Yeah,
like for like the caterers are like, this is so nice because they just had like a regular refrigerator in there and a freezer.
Yeah, I love that.
So, yeah.
Well, I feel like every guest we asked this one question, like, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give a couple, like, right now looking for, like, planning their wedding? Like, what's, like, the biggest thing in your mind?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many things that you want them to, like, pay attention to. I would definitely say, and not just because I own a venue, because you need to figure out that space first before you start really truly planning everything out, because that kind of like sets your tone, because you know, your themes and stuff like that, because you know, if you go to Century Farms, I mean, it's a beautiful barn.
Oh yeah.
So you want to go like more rustic things like that, so like that kind of helps you start planning the rest of the thing, and it tells you like how many people you can invite.
Yeah,
true.
Like that's a huge thing. Like
knock out a few big things
big
first.
things. And, then I would say like start on your guest list like right away. I think that is one thing I feel like
that guest list is tricky.
It is, and you kind of like it's like a working document. I feel like because like you start it at first, and then then you can always like tweak it. You know, it's something that you can keep tweaking until like it's closer to time to like do your invitations and things like that. Because again, you got to figure out who your guests are, and then start just moving from there. Like I would say, like DJ, photographer. I feel like those people go really fast. Like things like that. I just like kind of follow like general timelines. But I mean, you got to figure out.
Give yourself plenty of time. Like don't try to rush it. Like 2 months before.
Right. And I have a few people that are like right now inquiring about having like quicker weddings, and that's fine, but they're not having like big weddings. They're wanting like the smaller weddings anyway. So that's not bad. But if you're planning on having like 150 or more people, you really need to like give yourself a little bit more time. That's a lot of planning.
When's the best time do you feel like for the bride and groom to hire a wedding coordinator, if that's what they want? Like a day of wedding coordinator. Just because I'm sure some people might think day of and might think that they have plenty of time.
Yeah.
Where they might not.
Well, I mean, I had a friend that her future sister-in-law, like I came in 2 weeks like prior to the wedding, but I had already kind of like knew some of the details because I'm friends. But that was a little like, whew. Yeah. Like I need this information.
Or like, how long would you like to? How long do you feel like you would need to do like your best?
I'd like to have like talk within a year, like just so like I'm planning it, like and like that gives you enough time that when you're getting forms from me, like you have time to fill it out, because I try to spray. I don't like to put like all those.
Here's everything all at once.
Here you go. Fill all these forms out.
That would be overwhelming.
Yeah, because I mean I ask a lot of like information, like you know I do a whole vendor thing, I do a whole like bridal party thing, and they probably won't have all the answers at that given time. And the thing is, they can fill that out. I tell like, especially for vendors, like you can fill that out like 14 days, like prior to the wedding. So like even at the end, it's not a big deal, but it's nice to have that like sooner than later. But I would say, I would say like a year is nice. Yeah. Just to give yourself time, because because I've had some girls come in like 6 months, 4 months, and it's a lot of information to fill out for me.
For sure.
Because I need to have all this information to be able to like really get your timeline down. Like I think sometimes my brides at first think it's like redundant. Some of the like sometimes I ask the same question but like kind of differently and ask for a little bit more information here, and I need those information. You don't really realize like the details. Like I have one that's like, what do you want for your ceremony? Like where do you want people to sit? Like do you want the bride on this side? Do you want the like, or do you want it mixed? Like what do you want? So it's like a lot of information. Oh yeah. And you don't want to overwhelm yourself. No.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's quite a few things I just would never think about regularly.
I'm only one vendor. Yeah. So, like, I know the questions I'm asking, but I know you guys ask the questions.
Oh, yeah,
too. You're asking the same questions.
A ton of questions.
You know, so I would say try to give yourself time, especially if you're having bigger weddings. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's a lot of information to be like shelling out to different people. Like even your photographer, you got to get your shot list. You got to do, you know, all those things.
And it's good to break up like when you need things done by, like, because that way it's easier to like focus on. You're like, all right, this thing's due in like a couple months. Like I need to get invitations out.
Yeah.
Like, it helps you not be stressed, because it can get stressful real quick. You know, and feel overwhelmed.
Exactly. And I think one of the biggest things that I tell all of my brides, because they start like panicking and they're like, "Can I meet with you? Can I meet with you?" And I'm like, "Yes." But they don't sweat the small stuff. Like,
yeah.
I think sometimes less is more, especially when you like book a venue that like doesn't require a lot of like decorating.
Yeah.
Like, no, I got married at the Saxon Club in Salem, and it's a blank space.
Yeah.
And I wanted to like go all out and make this place look completely different.
But with your place, they don't need.
No, and like a lot of places around here, I feel like anymore, like you don't really need to do that. Like any of the barns,
True.
like pretty much a lot of the places, you don't have to go like crazy and put all this stuff on the walls. And if you don't get it, no one's gonna know that you didn't have it.
Yeah, true.
You're the only
It'll only
person.
exist in your mind.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like your people are gonna go there and be like, oh, they didn't have this.
Yeah.
I always say, like, if something doesn't go the way, like exactly the way that you thought, no one's gonna know.
No.
Never.
As I say, like, I have these girls that will just be like, well, I need to get this done. I need to get this done. I'm like, and they're listening to these things, and I'm like, you don't have to get that done. Like, if you don't get to it, don't stress yourself out because it's not worth it.
Absolutely.
like getting a program or like, doing these things. I'm like, you don't need a favor. Like,
true.
You
True.
don't need
You
favors.
really don't.
Like, no one's gonna not be like, they're like, oh, I didn't get a favor at that wedding. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing that out of everything.
Yeah. And something I noticed, like being at the very end of weddings, a lot of times is that there are a lot of favors left on the tables.
I didn't do favors.
How many times?
Guess who gets them?
Us.
DJ.
Yeah. We have because I know that like
they're like pawning them off.
Take
all these.
Yeah. Like, take it, and you're like.
And a lot of times we get asked to do an announcement because people notice that people aren't taking them.
And another thing is desserts.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I swear these people want to go like all out on desserts, and it's great like to have all these options, but don't get that much of everything.
There's a lot left over.
Everybody's always trying to pawn it off on me, and I'm like, I'm trying to lose weight.
I know. For me, I'll just be like, what I've been doing lately is seriously taking them to my like at my job. I work at a nursing home, and I put,
that's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
Like some of the residents. That
they're probably loving you there.
Yeah,
You're
love it, and then I'll put the rest in the break room.
Take them to a fire station.
Yeah,
take them
anywhere because. I mean, people, I feel like it's cool to have all these different options. Like now I feel like people have the cookie tables, they got cupcakes, they got cake.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Ice cream is now starting to come into play.
Like a little ice cream bar.
Don't go crazy over it. Like get very little things because you don't want to take all that home.
Yeah.
Like because
you do really want to limit that because that there's a lot of things to take home
and you
after a wedding.
Don't put them out. Like don't wait to give them to people.
Oh
like,
make sure like
put them out as soon as possible.
If you know you're gonna have a lot of cupcakes, buy go to like the food store. What's it called? GF or
GF.
I
know you're talking
what's
about
it called?
GFC.
Gordon Food Service.
Yeah,
there you go.
GFS,
buy those little little like take home box things.
Yeah,
those are
cheap
nice.
and put them out as soon as possible.
Mm.
That's what I tell them all the time because like people
put them near the exit.
Yes, or put them by the bar.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Yep.
Like put them
that's
by
a good
the
idea.
bar.
Yeah,
that's a big one too.
That's
it's
really
like
good.
You put them by the bar and people are gonna grab for a snack.
Yep.
Like,
make it easy for them to take it home. Yeah. Then
Yes.
they'll take more.
Yeah. I mean, because if you run out, that's better than keeping it all.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
You know,
because you have your gifts to take home, you got food to take
the
home.
decor, anything that you've decorated with,
lot
you know,
of
like
stuff. Yeah,
no, desserts and not worrying about like those small details.
Yeah.
Like it just is kind of like they go crazy.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you don't need that.
Yeah. So what is the best way for I guess future brides to get in touch with you and get for any of your services that you offer?
So like the best way probably is my websites are like each one has their own form on there and it comes straight to me. It goes through and I need to stop. I can't even talk. Yeah, so it comes straight to me through there, and it's nice because like you get information right away from me from there. So it's Happy Occasions by Abe. You have to add that because those are my initials. It's happyoccasionsbyabe.com. That's for like my invitations and day of coordination, and I put all my pricing and stuff on there except for the invitations that people want quotes and stuff like that. I personally like to do like in-person consultations. Yeah, because I like to get you your most bang for your buck. So I want to show you all the
there's probably quite a few variables, I'm assuming, when it comes to invitations. That seems like endless,
Because like some people want just an invitation and an RSVP. Some people want like 4 inserts, and I try to show you everything. and get you what you like within your budget.
Yeah.
So that is something like when you go on there and you go into the invitation, like the wedding invitation part, it's like to sign up for an actual like a consultation.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do it via Zoom or
that's cool.
But in person's kind of nice because I pull out all these invitations.
Oh, so yeah.
I show you everything. You get to touch and feel the paper and feel
cool.
the weight and things like that.
That's awesome.
And then it always is funny because people mix and match like the invitations. They're like, oh, I like this insert with this. And then I let them take pictures and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And for the Hidden Abbey, it's just thehiddenabbey.com.
Yeah. You do a lot of tours, I'm
assuming?
Yeah. Okay.
Which nice. I use Calendly, and you can just set up your own tour. You can come in. It tells you the times that I'm available.
That's very nice. You have a lot of this like really automated. And
that was one of the things as a bride. It drove me nuts to like having like to call people, and I also have all my information on my website too. So like when you go to weddings, you see all my pricing.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to waste your time.
Yeah.
I don't want you to waste my time and like coming to tour. And if it's not in your budget, then it's not in your budget.
This is a huge thing for anyone listening. So like, you know, some of this might like words might not make sense where it's, you know, Dubsado or like Calendly and all that. But really what you should know is like that Dubsado thing is going to make it your experience on your end so much nicer and cleaner. And you're going to get stuff faster.
Everything's in one spot because with that, it's like a client portal. So, you can always access all your things, and you can see if I've read your email, and if I can
be
see
very nice.
It's so nice, and it's like all one spot.
And Calendly means that you can book it on your own on her website, which is huge because you don't have to do this back and forth and set that up. You can just pick your time and show
you just go onto my contact us on my website, and it'll say like you just click a date, and it'll show you like what the times are available, and then you can choose however you want to come.
I love that. It's gonna save people a lot of time.
A lot of time. I try, like I said, I'm all about easy, like,
for sure.
And right now with me working like a full-time job and two businesses, like I need that.
Oh, for sure.
Like kind of like easiness, so I'm not wasting your time and you're not wasting mine.
Oh, totally.
And I just like easy.
Yeah.
Like I hated that.
Well, it's gonna be easy. It's easier for you and easier for them.
Right,
so
and that's the thing. Like that was the most frustrating thing as a bride was to like. You look at a place and you're like, well, how much is it? Like, and then trying to figure out a way to like, you have to call and you do the tour and it's like, okay. And that works for people.
And you times that by like 3 or 4.
And like, that works for people. Some people like to do that and that's great. But like, I'm busy.
Yeah.
So like, I like that I can just go on a website and say, okay, I want to come this date. Like this works for me and this works for everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, and you don't have to go back and forth with me. Like, well, does the 12th work for you at 6? Or does this work for you? Like, you can just go on and contact all your people and say, like, does this time work?
Yeah, I love that. And and then where can they see, like, photos of your venue?
So, our Facebook and our Instagram. So, those are just the Hidden Abbey on both. So, it's at the Hidden Abbey on the Instagram, and we're on Facebook. We've been trying to update the space. The only thing that we haven't quite updated yet is I'm working on that bridal dressing room.
Oh, cool,
I have one more piece. I have to add like my little. I have a vanity that I need to put.
So for anyone listening, it'll be done by when you're ready.
Oh, it's gonna be done by the next wedding, like for
and
sure.
then some,
But we've been finishing everything and we have one more piece. Like we're like right there. But it's just a vanity, like where like girls can do touch up makeup and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Because we have like salon chairs and everything like that. It's really nice.
Wow, that all sounds. I mean, that's amazing. Wow, that you've definitely offered so much.
I tried like coffee bar, all that stuff. Like in the girls' room.
Nice.
And like, so I like those little things. Like I like to like. My husband's always like, "Oh, we're give too much." I'm like, "No, but it makes it so nice."
Oh yeah,
stuff you just don't have to think about.
I like to go above and beyond for people. Like I like that. Like when I go to other venues, like when I love to go to other venues because I'm like, "Oh, that's so nice that they do that for people." You know?
Put like the little mints and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, that's so nice."
Yeah.
The Tide to Go pen in there.
Right. Exactly. So I'm always trying to like find ways to.
The fact you're a wedding coordinator, I mean, you know you're getting it done right. When
and I have my coordination kit like with me when I'm there. So like anything you need, it's there too. But I'm all about that. Like I just really want to make it's customer service for me.
Yeah.
I love that.
You know,
and that as it should be. Like it really should be all about
because like my space is nice, and there's other places that are like beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, just But I want to go above and beyond for you.
Yeah.
Like, that's my whole goal for everything.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
And the bride and groom's going to notice, and not just them, but all your guests.
Yes.
I mean, it's noticeable.
It is. And it's such a good experience. And I love when I work with, like, vendors, like, that are the same way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, that really go above and beyond for everybody. And because you really want to make those, like, those people pay you to make, to make sure that their day goes great.
Yeah, and that's something we talk about a lot, is like how we're working as a team. Like, you will have a team that you're assembling that day.
And it's nice to have people that you work with all the time.
Like, and especially when like everyone like really has that same goal of like whatever the bride and groom needs and wants, like we're gonna make that happen today to make this the best that we possibly can be. And I just love that. So
well, awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. This is great.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you had so much to like share and offer. I mean, glad, like so many things that like are the brides and grooms can benefit from. So
no, I loved it. Thanks
really is a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, tell everybody one more time just where like your website and.
All right. So for Happy Occasions, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Happy Occasions by Abe. For the website, it's also happyoccasionsbyabe.com. For the venue, it's the Hidden Abbey. For both Facebook and Instagram, and the hiddenabbey.com.
Awesome.
Perfect.
So,
well, sweet. Well, I've been Adam, Robb, and of course we got
Carson Parmenter.
And well, thank you so much for coming on.
And Beth.
Thank you guys for listening.
Yep.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks.
All right. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Wedding Workflow podcast. Join us next Wednesday for another episode. And if you've enjoyed our show, please leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts to help us move up in the rankings. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Wed Workflow Pod. And you can find us on Facebook at The Wedding Workflow. Also, please send us an email with any questions or topics you'd like us to cover at theweddingworkflow@gmail.com. And we will see you next week.